Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. My name is Ashley and today we will be discussing journaling. Journaling has been something that I've been active in for the past few years and I wanted to take the time to discuss it for a few reasons. First, journaling has been such a big part of my early 20s and I want to be able to look back on this video and see what journaling was like for me in this time period of my life. Number two, this video can serve as motivation or inspiration or just a stepping stone for anyone who wants to start journaling, and I'm so happy to help you with that in any way, shape, or form. Or number three, maybe you're just bored, you want to watch a video, you want to have something on in the background while you're doing something else. And if that's the case, by all means. Regardless of the reason as to why you're here, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. There's gonna be a lot of things that I'm covering today, so much so that I have notes so that I make sure that I'm on track and I don't forget anything. So without further ado, let's get into how and why I started journaling. The short of it is, like a lot of young people, it started with a crash out. And then the longer story is that there was a series of events that led me to start journaling that mimics like dominoes falling into one another. So I'm going to tell that story as concisely as I can, but bear with me. So it began when my sister got COVID in 2022. And because we lived under the same roof, the rest of my family got COVID. At the time, the rules and restrictions were that if you test positive for COVID, you need to quarantine for 2 weeks. So just to paint you a picture, my entire family in one confined space for 2 weeks, we were getting a little bit stir crazy. We were getting cabin fever. My mom, trying to cope with this, started daydreaming about family trips to take. And then my dad made a passing comment of how, oh, we should book a trip to New York because you girls have always wanted to go there. My mom took that seriously. So fast forward to the end of 2022, we are in New York as a family, and in the middle of our trip, my mom gets a notification of how our flights got canceled. So we had to reshuffle things around. We essentially had to rebook all of our flights. And on our new flight back to Australia, we had a 2-day layover in the Philippines, which we took as an opportunity to catch up with family and friends. But I also had the genius idea to go on Bumble and meet new people. I did in fact meet someone, and then came the limerence, the hyperfixation, the obsession, whatever you want to call it. It was so bad. Do not recommend. Avoid it at all costs. That was not a good idea at all. No logic behind whatever that was. Anyway, we get back home. I'm in such a bad mental state, so much so that I lost my appetite, started running, and journaling as a way to cope. And the rest is history. Next, I'm going to talk about the journals in my journal ecosystem. I'm going to talk about each and every journal, what their purpose is, how I fill them up, how often I fill them up, and maybe even the history of it. I don't know, whatever else I can think of. The first kind of journal that I have in my ecosystem is my brain dump journal. I think a more fitting name for it would be brain and heart dump journal, but that's too long, and dump journal just does not sound good, so I call it my brain dump. This journal is a place for me to express my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my experiences, my perspectives, my opinions about anything and everything. This is what started my journaling journey. Wow, alliteration, I love that for me. Specifically, this is the journal that I started off with during that very mentally unwell period of my life. I started it because I needed a self-reliant way to cope. I am so grateful and so lucky and so blessed to have the support system that I do, you know, my friends and my family, but I needed to do something for myself. And so this is the product of that. This is my first ever journal. It literally says Ashley's Journal, start of 2023 to September 2024. So 1.5 years, maybe a little bit more. And this is what that looks like. After I finished this, I had this one, which again, same format. And then this is my most recent and current one. Keeping in mind the purpose of this journal, it is very personal and very private, so it's for my eyes only. There was a time that I started incorporating creative elements to my brain dump journal. I'll show you. This is from when my friend and I watched The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I wrote down my comfort movies, stuff like that. And those are spreads that I really wanted to show my friends, but I also know that people have the tendency that if I show them one page, they might flip to other pages. It's the same way when you show someone a picture in your camera roll and then they start scrolling. It's a bit rude if I'm being honest, but I know people have that draw in themselves. So just to mitigate the risk of people reading my private entries, I stopped doing that. The last thing I will say is my brain dump journal is not a place for aesthetics. Ever since I stopped making those creative spreads, I stopped doing anything creative aside from the front cover. Like, I do like designing my front covers and the front page. Like, this one has that. This one says brain dump, and then the date that I started, and then the date that I finished. But aside from those, nothing pretty about these journals. Even my handwriting, there are some days that I write neatly, and then other days it's barely legible. But that's the point. This notebook is not about performing. It's about being an outlet for me. Moving on to the second journal I have my creative journal. Because I stopped doing the creative spreads on my brain dump, I needed someplace else to do that, and thus this was born. And therefore this one I am happy to show to other people. Anyone who will give me the time of day, I will show them this. Like I said, this is a creative outlet for myself, so anything that remotely requires creativity for me, it's in here. So I have scrapbooking, journaling, drawings, lyrics, quotes, lettering, calligraphy. It's in here. And I think I'll just show you a few examples. One, because I'm really proud of it, but two, I think just showing you is better than explaining it by words. So this is the front cover. It just says this journal belongs to me. I'm Ashley. I have a picture of myself, and then down at the bottom I just have my contact details in case I lose it. Knock on wood. This is not wood, this is drywall, but knock on wood, I don't lose it. This was my first ever spread. This is from when I went to a Noah Khan concert. Back in early 2024, I printed out some photos of me at the concert. This is someone that I went to the concert with. I have my wristbands here, and I even dated it. So this was start of 2024. And you will see that as we go through my spreads, the artistry and the creativity gets better. But this is still one of my favorite pages. It's my me core spread. I just printed a bunch of photos that I feel represents me. So for example, I love sleeping, I love reading, I cry a lot because I'm a sensitive biatch. I love hot chocolate, so stuff like that. This is a random Hope Core quote that I saw online. It says, "You have survived every single thing you thought that you wouldn't. Be proud of yourself." So this serves as a good reminder for myself and for anyone watching. Something I really love doing as well is doing travel spreads. So this is from my trip to London. I went with my parents. And this one in particular is a mix of junk journaling and scrapbooking because I have the London like tube map on here. I have this souvenir paper bag on here, a menu from a restaurant we went to, and I also printed out some photos from our trip. This is what that looks like. Another personal one is my graduation spread. The background paper that I used were from the bouquets of flowers that I received on that day. This is the price tag for the flip-flops that my mom bought me because my feet were hurting from my heels. A congratulation note from one of my friends as well. A Polaroid picture that my friend took of me. So those were like scrapbooking spreads, but then I also do like prompts. So these were my current goals in May of this year. Things I need to stop doing, so just harmful behaviors and habits that I need to stop. Like I said, my creativity has really blossomed over time, but here's like an easy spread that I did. On one side, I put things that piss me off, and then on the other side, things that make me smile. Like I said, I started this in 2024 and I'm still not finished with it. I still have this amount of pages left, which is actually not a lot. I'm hoping that I fill this up completely before the end of the year so that I can start a new journal in 2026. With those two journals, I don't have a set schedule for them. I can fill them up as often as every day. And then there are also times that I don't pick them up for weeks at a time. On the other hand, my third journal is my gratitude journal, where I write 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for every day. It can be something as small as having good weather or having a cup of hot chocolate, or it can be something as big as I graduated today, I got a new job today, I turned a year older today. As you could probably pick up, this is the journal that I write in the most because I write on it every day, or I try to write in it every day. And I started this May of this year, and up until August, I did really good because I filled it up every day. But there was a point in August where I was just in a slump and I missed 4 days. And I knew I could backtrack and try to recall what I did on those days that I've missed, but at the time it just felt like such a chore to do it. So I told myself, we're gonna skip it and we're gonna move forward. And one thing about me and my journaling is I give myself grace. My consistency streak ended because of those 4 days that I've missed, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't have to be perfect. I never want journaling to feel like a chore or a burden because I feel like that's a recipe for burnout. And I feel like this mindset that I've adopted is the reason why I've been so consistent with journaling for the past few years and why I've stuck with it for so long. And this is not to say that I don't challenge myself with journaling, because I step out of my comfort zone and I try new things all the time when it comes to journaling, but there's also a very fine line between challenging myself and pushing past my limits. Say, for example, I'm just too lazy to take the 2 minutes to fill this up at the end of the day. That's when I give myself a pep talk, tell myself, get your ass up, take the 2 minutes to write in it, because it's gonna make you feel better and it contributes to sticking with a good habit. On the other hand, if I've just had the most physically, emotionally, mentally exhausting day and I just cannot take another thing, then I won't fill it up. The world is not gonna end. I can pick up the next day and move forward. Journaling doesn't have to be perfect. All that matters is that you're enjoying it and you're trying. The next journal I have is actually not with me at the moment. It's currently with a friend, and that's because it's my community journal. I would say that this journal requires the least input for myself and requires the most input from others. And if you're like, Ashley, what do you mean? I would say that my community journal is an archive of my personal relationships. Again, the reason that I vlog, the reason why I journal, I want to be able to look back on it in the future and see what this period of my life is like. And in this case, I want it to be an archive of what kind of people I surrounded myself with in my early 20s. The backstory of why I started this journal is because I had a friend visit me from Perth in June of this year. Her name is Chell. She's a really good friend of mine. And I wanted to commemorate our time together, but see it from her perspective. Because I can make a creative journal spread from my perspective, or I could write about it in my brain dump. But I wanted to see an output from her perspective. So what we did was we went to Kmart, printed a bunch of photos. I gave her all my art supplies and said, go ham. And she came up with this beautiful, colorful, chaotic spread, which I feel like is representative of her as a person, but I also feel like it encapsulates the energy and vibe of our friendship. So from that was born the idea of I am going to ask my friends and my family to fill it up. And I'm going to talk about the other examples in this journal as well. So Chess, I would say, is my most naturally artistic friend. So instead of printing out photos, she did drawings. And similar to Chell, she did quotes and lyrics and other stuff, but it was all hand-drawn and handwritten. Abby is my friend that I live with, and so we have a lot of photos together. So she did a bit of a gallery wall where she printed out photos in different shapes, and then she stuck it on the page, and she drew cute frames and borders because that is so very Abby. And Iya is my most logical and straightforward thinking friend. I love having mentally stimulating conversations with her because I feel like we are on the same intellectual wavelength on most topics. On top of that, she's a very objective and academic person. So guess what she did? She made a SWOT analysis of our friendship, which is hilarious, but it's so fitting for her as a person, but also for our friendship. And currently my journal is still with her. She's still not done with that spread. But I am so keen and I'm so excited to see what other people would put, because it's all up to their interpretation. I give them the prompt of make a spread representative of you and our friendship, and it's up to them how they want to interpret that. I think the only input that'll come from me, I want to include like projects or crafts that me and my friends do together and put it there. So say for example, me and Chess did a coloring in page, but we split the page in half. So one side of the page she colored in, and then the other side of the page I colored in. I stuck that on that journal. In the future, there will probably be arts and crafts projects that I do with my friends that I want to memorialize there forever. I think that's the most input that it's gonna get for me. Moving on to my fifth journal is my commonplace journal, and this I only recently started this, actually. Let me check. Yes, I started this in July. And basically, this is my field notes notebook. This is the traveler's notebook in passport size. It has two notebooks in there currently, but I'm only using one. I'm using the dotted one. And then I also have this blank page one, but I still haven't decided what to do with it. It closes with this elastic. On here, I keep a 0.38 Muji pen, as well as this Stabilo pastel orange highlighter. On the side, I included a little charm. Oh, it is of a fairy sitting on the moon. Isn't that so cute and whimsical? I chose this size because I wanted a small and portable journal because this is the one that I will carry with me most everywhere I go. And I'm still doing my best to try and remember to bring it everywhere with me. Essentially, this is my field notes journal. It includes lists, reminders, reviews, quotes, and lyrics. Anything that sticks out for me from my environment, I will put in here. I'll give you an example. Let's see. My very first entry is a cafe review. Another entry is hypothetical money heist aliases, because me and Ia had a discussion about what our aliases would be if we were in a money heist situation. I have a grocery list on here. I said, 10 things I hate about you makes me nostalgic for a decade I didn't even exist in yet. Because I did a rewatch of 10 Things I Hate About You. Adrian Lenker songs that itch my brain just right. 6th of August, 2025, things I crashed out over recently. Finding out Din Tai Fung permanently shut days before my Melbourne trip. Everywhere Everything, featuring Gracie Abrams in Regretting You, which is a Colleen Hoover film trailer. My period showing up when it's not supposed to. Oh, and I have the description of the word esoteric in here because Taylor Swift said that in the New Heights podcast. So I was like, write that down. Filling this up is something that I'm still working on because I don't find it instinctive to reach towards it. So I'm still working on that because I want to be able to fill this up. But so far, I'm liking what I put down here. And lastly, I have my miscellaneous journals, which I'm just gonna rapid fire through them. Recently, I started a recipe book. I don't cook. I've never liked cooking, but I've been cooking a lot more recently. And so instead of having the recipes that I like on my phone and I'm having to scroll through my camera roll or trying to search it up on the internet, I have put the recipes that I really, really like in this notebook. There's not a lot. I think I have like 2 or 3 in here, but this is not something that I pick up often. This is a case-to-case basis. If I find a new recipe that I want to do next time, that I want to remember, that I want to refer to in the future, it's gonna go in here, but I don't anticipate that this is something that I'm gonna be super active in. And then I have my digital journals, which I'm not really gonna get into right now. Basically, the reason I have digital journals is mostly for organization purposes, so I need them to be accessible and portable. Whereas my physical journals, they're more so for being intentional and escaping and slowing down. So to summarize, the format in which my journals come in is reliant on their overarching purpose. I have my digital journals on Notion, and I have Notion downloaded on my phone, on my iPad, on my laptop, and I can access the website on any device, essentially. And again, we circle back to that accessibility and portability of my digital journals. I understand that Notion is not for everyone. It definitely had a learning curve. When I first downloaded it, I think I was staring at the screen for 8 hours straight, trying to figure out how Notion works. But eventually I figured it out. It's what works for me. It's both functional and cute because you can customize it however you want. A quick rapid fire of the digital journals I have. I have my calendar, my financial diary, my uni organization. So like I've got my timetables and my schedules and the assessments that I have due and when they're due. I do travel planning on there sometimes. And lastly, I have my bookish diary. And like I said, mostly organization related, and therefore I need to be able to move stuff around. So I feel like doing it digitally is easier because I can backspace, I can move stuff around. Whereas in a physical journal, that's a bit more difficult to do. Like I said, I'm not going to go in depth with them. That's basically a summary of my other journals. I can talk about it in a future video if anyone's interested. Otherwise, that's that. Alright, so those are all the journals that I use and I keep. Now, I want to do a quick art cart tour. Actually, what's an art cart? You'll see in a second. But before we get into that, I just want to do a disclaimer. It took me years to fill this art cart up, and I'm still filling it up as I go, slowly adding to it every now and again. So when you see this, I don't want you to think, oh my god, if I want to start journaling, I need all of what she has. No, you don't need everything in here ASAP. And I'm gonna get more into that later. Don't compare yourself to me. Just observe, okay? So here it is. I feel like I have to do a different setup, so just bear with me. I'm gonna move stuff around. Can I pen down? Yeah, again, there you go. Why am I sitting like this? This is so stupid. Okay, so this is my cart. I got it from Kmart. I think it cost me $20 or $30. It's in the color white. It doesn't roll very well on carpeted floor, but it is what it is. It gets the job done. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start from the bottom. This is the top. I'm gonna start from the top and work my way down to the bottom. So at the very top, I have my writing utensils. And this is a great example of what I was saying earlier. These pack of highlighters were gifted to me 7 or 8 years ago. I have since replaced a couple of them for running out of ink, but a lot of them are still going, surprisingly. So I also have this little caddy here. It has colored pencils, markers, twistable Crayola. I have another pack of colored pencils. I don't know why I ended up with 2 packs of colored pencils, but that's just the way it is. Pens, a lot of them being Muji, like this as well. I have a whole pack of 0.5 clicky black Muji pens because we don't have Muji in Adelaide. I'm not aware of any stockists here in Adelaide, and yes, I know I can buy them online, but I prefer just buying them in person. It makes for a really good side quest when I'm traveling, trying to figure out if 1, they have Muji, 2, if I need to stock up on my Muji pens. And if you're thinking, Ashley, that is overconsumption, I understand where you're coming from, but this system has worked for me for years. I will buy a box of Muji pens, burn through them one at a time, and then on my next trip, I go to stock up. On this level, I also have a bunch of adhesives. So I have PVA glue, my best friend Elmer's glue stick. I ran out of double-sided tape. I need to repurchase one. I have fabric glue. Earlier this year, I DIY'd a concert outfit, so I used this for that. I have normal clear tape, and these ones should really be in the garage. I've got like packaging tape and electrical tape. I also have a glue gun. And lastly, I have scissors. Why I have 4, I have no idea. I bought these 2 from the reject shop. It came in a set and I was like, a big scissor and small scissors, fun. I found this somewhere at home and now it lives on my art cart. And then this one I'm pretty sure should be in a sewing kit, but it ended up on my art cart. I don't know. Moving down to the second level, I have my paper goods as well as my stickers. Starting off with this box that I thrifted from an op shop are all my stickers. I have sticker sheets. Like these ones were gifted to me. We've got butterflies, sheep, bees. I've got plants and flowers, individual stickers that were either bought or gifted to me, alphabet stickers as well. I have an envelope of stickers that I don't think I'll use, so these ones are to give away. So if any of my friends are watching, if you want stickers, come get them. And then moving on to the paper goods, I have Post-it notes. I have this book that I got from the op shop and I literally just tear pages out of it to use for scrapbooking and junk journaling. I have colored origami paper, colored paper from Daiso, printed and patterned paper as well. I like to go to Kmart to print out photos. I don't have a printer at home. Actually, we do have a printer at home for documents, but I can never figure it out. So I just go to Kmart because that one, the machine there is easy to use. I have some birthday greeting cards on here. Spare notebooks because, of course, I have spare notebooks. If I ever finish a journal and need a replacement, or if I just want to add to my ever-growing journal ecosystem, I have a small stash here. And this one is a photo gallery storage book, but instead of having photos in here, I have letter cutouts that I can use for journaling and scrapbooking. I even have some little illustrations here in the back and some random words if I want to use those. And the third level is everything else. I don't know that there's necessarily a category for this, but I'll take you through them. So here on the side, I have my washi tapes. This is another example of like taking years to build my collection because I have most of these washi tapes from like 6 years ago. These are my most recent additions because I was gifted one for my birthday, and then the other one was on clearance at Kmart, and so I bought it. I have these stamp sets that I was, again, gifted years ago, and I still keep them and still use them to this day, although not often. What's this? Oh, it's my friendship bracelet making supplies. Back when I was preparing for the Eras tour, I made a bunch of friendship bracelets, so I still have a lot of leftover supplies. So when I go to a concert, I tend to make a few friendship bracelets to trade with other people. I've got acrylic paint that was actually my mom's, but I borrowed it and it just stayed here. I've got fabric paint that I was gifted. Oh, these ones I love. These are punchers. The one I use the most is the corner rounder, but I've also got other shapes. I've got a big heart, a small heart, butterfly, stars, and flowers. To go with the paint, I have paintbrushes down here as well. And something really beautiful that I love is my wax seal stamp set. It comes with tea light candles, wax, of course, and this is my seal. It's just a letter A with intricate details in it, and I think it's really beautiful. I also have this dog paw because I'm a big dog person, and the set also comes with this spoon that allows me to melt wax in it. That is it for my art cart tour, and I want to end this video with a segment where I provide some reminders and tips and advice for if you want to start journaling. Another disclaimer: I am not an expert. I do not claim to be, and I do not want the responsibility of all of that. I am just going to tell you what works for me, and it is an opportunity for you to be a critical thinker, okay? I'm sure that there are other people out there who's going to contradict what I say, and then there's going to be some people who support what I say. What applies to me may not apply to you. You know yourself best. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. Do some self-reflection, but don't take my word as Bible. I don't know if that's an actual saying or if I just made that up, but basically what I'm saying is don't blindly follow what I say. Okay, first, start simple. Don't buy the fancy shit yet. I think this goes for any hobby, if I'm being honest, but sticking to this example, you do not need to buy the 100-pack of fancy markers or a 50-pack of washi tapes. Start with a notebook. You probably have one lying around the house. Get a pen, get to work. The main reason why I'm saying this is because the habit hasn't stuck yet. It's gonna take you a while. I think, is it 2 weeks for a habit to stick? I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Worst case scenario, the habit doesn't stick and you have a mountain of supplies. You wasted money on them. They're collecting dust in the corner. They're taking up space. If you decide to sell them or give them away, then you have to be like, pick it up here. It costs this much. Negotiating the price. Too much work. This is what I was talking about earlier. Plus, I feel like it's more fun when you gradually build your collection naturally and organically, as opposed to just buying them all at once. And this is a good time to bring up overconsumption. And this is something that I see a lot online, especially TikTok, because I'm chronically online. You don't even know if this hobby is gonna stick. Why do you have $1,000 haul for it? This is a reminder for you to be a responsible and mindful consumer, not just for your sake or your wallet's sake, but also for the environment's sake. Number 2, don't be consumed by aesthetics. And I say this for 2 reasons. 1, don't be so outcome driven. Allow yourself to enjoy and get lost in the process of writing and creating, drawing, sketching, whatever kind of journaling you want to do. This is the best way to approach journaling, because if you're so outcome driven, you're just going to get frustrated when it doesn't turn out perfect. And I'm going to show you an example. This is a page that I am not a big fan of. I just don't think it's very cohesive. There's a lot of empty spots here. The glue is like seeping through. I just don't love it, but it was a great memory. So I'm going to keep it on here. I'm not going to rip it out. And it's also good exposure therapy if you're a perfectionist, because looking at this, I get to sit in the discomfort of imperfection. Again, enjoy the process. The rest is confetti. If it turns out perfect and beautiful, amazing. If it doesn't, at least you had fun. And maybe you can laugh about the mistakes or the imperfections. And number 2, as to why you shouldn't be consumed by aesthetics, is because you should allow yourself to be shitty at first. You will get better over time and with practice. And that's just a reminder, because people forget that. I am guilty of forgetting that. Like, I start a hobby, and if I'm not immediately amazing at it, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Save me. It's okay to be shitty. Embrace the shittiness, because that's how you're gonna grow. And my last advice is don't be so tough on yourself and give yourself grace. This actually ties in with the last tip I talked about, but the more pressure you put on yourself and the stricter you are with yourself, the less fun you're gonna have. If you're not having fun, this habit is not gonna stick. Find that balance between trying new things, challenging yourself, and having boundaries and having limits. Journaling, like many hobbies, is not a one-size-fits-all. Adjust your journaling schedule or your style or your approach according to what fits you and your personality and your schedule. I think I'm gonna end it there. I've yapped on for so long, I don't even know if I made sense trying to get my point across during that last bit, but thank you so much for watching, especially if you've made it to the end. I will put my social media down below, so check those out if you're interested. And is there anything else I want to add? No, I'm gonna leave it there. See you in the next one. Bye! Rawr!